Well, why? Why are they directing the hurricane directly into Tampa and the Sarasota area specifically? Like, that's the question that stands out to many of us. Many people are wondering why Tampa specifically, though. Let's talk about Bill Gates, the man who wants to control the weather and reshape the way that you live. I mean, down to you not eating meat. He wants to take down forests in order to cool the climate. He wants to block out the sun. I mean, this is literally what he wants to do. He wants to test vaccines, of course, on unexpected individuals. Like, he loves this stuff right now. And this isn't some conspiracy stuff. This is fact. This is exactly what he's been doing. It's happening right now. And it's connected to something much bigger than just hurricanes and climate solutions. So stick with me here on this. Reshaping the way you live through weather manipulation is what Bill Gates wants to do. So let's start with this. Back in 2009, Bill Gates puts his name on a patent for controlling hurricanes. Yes, you can't make this stuff up. On hurricanes, watch.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder. But now the billionaire may be known as the hurricane tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Hurricanes gain strength from condensation driven by warm surface water, which leads to greater wind speeds. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes. The patent, which isn't expected to be approved for another 18 months, was submitted by CREET LLC, a sub-entity of an Intellectual Ventures and an invention acquisition and development firm.
What could go wrong? What could go wrong when Bill Gates becomes a hurricane tamer and does it under the auspices of trying to downsize the level of this?
He also wants to minimize the effects of the sun as well. That's another patent we've talked about. He actually has said that. This is not crazy talk from us.
Have they never watched Frankenstein? Like,
right.
If you mess with things that you don't understand, sometimes the results are not good. And it's like, you can't just test this stuff, you know?
Well, look at Dubai.
Right.
I mean, a perfect example in recent memory is earlier this spring in Dubai, right? I mean, they control the weather. The UAE is very open and admitting that they have their weather manipulation program on purpose to cloud seed and rain all through the United Arab Emirates. Massive flooding because they did too much of it. You can't control it in the way that you hope. Even going back to the early days of Project Cirrus and the initial attempts to control the weather, General Electric research labs got out of the business, and they were worried about being sued out of existence because of the devastation that they wrought throughout Georgia by manipulating a hurricane, trying to bring its size down. Instead, they raised it up and pushed it right back into Georgia. I mean, this is well documented. You can look it up if you want to do the research. Go ahead, Philip.
Well, David brought up a really good point, and that's your lab setting cannot be the Earth. And since you can't control this in a controlled setting, that's, I can't test whether or not this aerosol I have is incredibly toxic to people by just releasing it into a city and seeing what happens. That's not good science.
It's out of control. Yeah. That's a controlled lab environment. But they love testing things on us. I mean, look at what they did with COVID, for crying out loud. Let's use the Earth in order to see how this works out. Let's see what it does to lock down children all over the world. How does that going to... Oh, now we know. Let's put masks on everyone around the world. Let's see how that turns out. Well, now we know.
It's like Oppenheimer. It's like, hey, we're going to blow this up. We could completely destroy if these ions do this, it could destroy all of humanity. But you know what? We're willing to risk it to be in the lead with nuclear weapons.
I love this super chat from John DeLeo. He says, redacted haters wear masks alone in their cars. Yes, you've seen those people. Yes. If you're a redacted hater, you're probably wearing a mask alone in your car. Anyway, so Bill Gates holds a hurricane modification patent, a hurricane patent that can tame a hurricane. And the patent allows for strengthening and steering of the hurricane. You can read the patent yourself. It allows for the strengthening and steering of the hurricane. Bill Gates holds this patent. But ask yourself, why is Bill Gates, a guy who made billions in technology, suddenly interested in controlling natural disasters? It's not like he's a meteorologist or a climate scientist. So what's the real agenda here?
No, he's a thief. He stole shrink wrap software.
Yes, from IBM.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you think this is? Why exactly? What is the motivation for someone like Bill Gates to be involved in this? Well, could it have anything to do with this, as we talked about yesterday? The 15-minute city project. As we reported yesterday, Tampa Bay had been selected as a new 15-minute city. Among other cities, Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, there's a list of these 15-minute city projects that are unfolding, and Tampa Bay is set to be one of them. And Bill Gates has a massive investment in Tampa Bay's 15-minute city project, which covers 40 acres of waterfront property. Now, if you haven't heard of 15-minute cities, let me explain. The idea is that everything you need, your job, your grocery store, your entertainment, your education should all be within a 15-minute walk. You don't need to drive a car. Your carbon footprint is too much. You will scan your ID walking along, so we will know all about your movements, your carbon footprint. It will reduce climate change. You won't be driving any kind of fossil fuel car. It all sounds so convenient, right? But here's the thing. This isn't about walkable communities at all. It's all about control, as our friend of the show, Whitney Webb, has so eloquently put it here on our show. And this is exactly what the World Economic Forum wants. You can read all about 15-minute cities right on the World Economic Forum's own website. I encourage you all to go to their website and do it. I won't bore you with it right now. But they actively promote it and they actively want it. They are selling us more automated life, of course, but to what end exactly? Could it be what European MP Christine Anderson warned us about? They want more automation, less autonomy for human beings, and therefore more control of our lives. Here she is talking about this recently to the Epoch Times.
Green certificate, the COVID pass, that was a test balloon to get people to having to produce some kind of a QR code, just getting people used to that. Now what they're slamming us with is these 15-minute cities. Make no mistake, it's not about your convenience. It's not that they want you to be able to, have all of these places that you need to get to very close. And it's not about saving the planet either, by the way. The 15-minute cities, they will have to have those before they can lock you down. And that's what we're talking about here. So in Great Britain, some county already passed legislation. They will be able to impose a climate lockdown. That's the next step. That's what we're talking about. So in order to do that, they will have to have these 15-minute cities. The next.
So she's a member of Parliament, Christine Anderson, and a hero, by the way. So Tampa is one of these cities on the list for this 15-minute city concept, and Bill Gates investing massively into this. So he's going to both try to control the hurricanes on the front end, holding patents on geoengineering, climate control, the strengthening and steering of hurricanes, while also on the back end investing in Tampa's 15-minute city project. Like, that's a brilliant investment, right? Invest on the front end, make a lot of money on the front end, then make a lot of money on the back end. Once this part of the waterfront area of Tampa gets destroyed, and hey, maybe there's a giant land grab, just like we saw in Maui with the giant land grab. We get to swoop in and put in all new walkable 15-minute city test beds. And by the way, I totally forgot to even mention this, but Hawaii specifically is focused on 15-minute cities. Mm-hmm. And so, again, you could go down a conspiracy rabbit hole if you want, but you wipe away complete communities, you have a government land grab, and then you're going to sort of implement these test pilot projects of 15-minute cities. Like, it sounds crazy. Maybe we're nuts. Let us know your thoughts on this and Bill Gates' ownership of this.
Well, a couple things. One, that's the plot of the summer blockbuster Twisters. So if you buy it in fiction, you have to buy it in real life, right? It's not so far-fetched. Number two, my kids in middle school had a school assembly to promote 15-minute cities. So it's being pushed in education as something, the wave of the future. Why is that, do you think? Why do they need to warm kids up to this idea if capitalism is not actually naturally creating it? Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Indoctrination, trying to get kids to believe that this is the wave of the future.
So my nephew, during this assembly, he leaned over to my son and he's like, I bet your parents have a different view on this. He's like, I can't work this out, but I feel like I'm being fed propaganda. I'm going to have to ask Tia about it. And I was so proud.
Yes. Then our son came home and he was like, yeah, something didn't sit right with us. I was like, good. Thank you. Thank you for questioning this stuff. Because they try to, couch it as, it's convenience. It's going to help the environment. It's all good for us just to walk everywhere. You don't need a car. It's all about control at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on all of that.